great lunch. Now we'll move on to our next set of discussions and presentations that we have in store for you. Let's get right into our first afternoon session, starting with a Fireside forum that addresses a bold question. Why isn't CTV adoption keeping up with the hype? This conversation explores what's holding the industry back and how we can move forward. Please welcome our speakers, Prabhvir, Sahmey, Rohan, Chincholi, Chief Digital Officer, Havas Media India, Aaron, Noronha, DGM Digital, Godrej Consumer Products Limited. Let's dive into this important discussion. Over to you, Prabhvir.
I'm not too sure how many people are still outside. You want to ring the bell and bring them in? All right, I think the most difficult session to get into right after lunch, and quite a lot of exciting session in the first half. I think session by Frodo, friends from Double Verify. Also, there's one more I saw, Channel Factory stuff also. Oh, you're looking at the logos. I was trying to remember the content that we have. So it's going to be a fun afternoon. We don't have any scripts. We have not shared any questions before we met. Probably we are meeting each other after a very, very long time. And I don't have a job and a title to carry today. So I quit my job 45 days ago, and it's been a fun ride. But before we get into a conversation, let's do an audience profiling. फिर उसके बाद हम media brief निकालेंगे कि हम क्या बात करने वाले हैं. So how many folks in this room are advertisers or brands? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One guy was, and how many? 6, 7. So okay, small percentage. How many agency folks? Quite a few of them. And is everybody else publishers or platforms? I guessing. So revenue लेके जाना है. RO के बिना हम कमरा नहीं छोड़ सकते. Okay. So we got an interesting panel. My name is Prab. I used to be with Samsung Ads and Google before I came here. We've got amazing Aaron, who has his picture from his college graduation right over here. And also we've got Rohan over here, who looks exactly same as his picture.
Double checking.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about why CTV is not accelerating. And although by the way, the timer has not started. So somebody wants to time the start, otherwise we can keep going on. Before we kick in, is there any one question from any of the forum participants right now, which these two gentlemen must answer? Like, इस सवाल का जवाब मुझे मिल गया तो मेरी third आंख खुल जाएगी types. Is there any one question that you guys want to ask? Because I'm going to throw a curveball at both of them after that.
This is why we didn't get the question.
Awesome.
Anybody who has to get one answer today, other than what's going to be the stock price tomorrow for your favorite stock?
I think they're going to leave the questions to you.
Okay. So let's get started. I think I've been part of the CTV journey for the longest time, and it's been an amazing ride. CTV did not exist back when I started. And still, I think what we heard in the panels in the morning as well, some people have made it part of their business, some people are experimenting, some people have been some amazing platform. But before we get into answering, how do we accelerate? Let's ask the existential question, which is, if CTV did not exist or existed, what would have changed in your marketing plan? Like, will it make a difference if you did not do CTV advertising?
That indeed was a curveball, because I think as being an integrated agency, the linear TV would continue to have its space.
Correct.
Maybe what, initially when I remember 2009, when digital was picking up, mobile marketing was a separate vertical altogether.
True.
And it's estimated that by 2030, there is going to be a screen size of about 1 billion potential for India, in a ratio of 1:3, 3 in favor of mobile devices. So I think a lot would not change, but maybe the linear TV comprehensive planning would continue. there will never be a discussion about whether CTV. I think we discussed a lot of CTV in all the events than the actual adoption of CTV, and I think the numbers talk for themselves. But one answer is, maybe the media plans would stick to whatever is the flavor of the year or the decade at that point of time, programmatic, maybe programmatic outdoor, programmatic audio, first party data, which everyone loves. I think we would keep our conversations there and rely on the fixed spots that television has to offer rather than what CTV doesn't do, and it's, very contextual.
उस पे आते हैं. Aaron, from your side.
I mean, largely, I would agree with Rohan. 3 years ago, majority of our spends was on television. We have mass brands like Synthol, Goodnight. So for us, mass reach is very important, reaching enough people consistently through the year. What we've seen is that for us, connected TV is an extension of television. It's the same screen. It's just that some people are not choosing to watch content streaming rather than watching it through linear. Some have cut the cord. Some are sharing, right? So we were early to see that CTV was picking up. And again, it always starts with the consumer. We have certain consumer tasks where we are trying to reach affluent audiences. So 3 years ago, you could be very sure that you're reaching a very premium user on connected TV. That doesn't mean we were only using connected TV. It was an extension of what we're doing. Now 3 years later, we've seen how CTV has exploded. And it's now made sense that even for our mass brands, where you may be losing out on certain reach on linear, you have to complement it with connected TV. And therefore, our media mix is reflecting that change in the landscape.
So then let me ask you what every brand marketers have always asked me कि इतना पैसा खर्च करूँगा तो कितना सामान बिकेगा? That's what everybody asks, like ROI, ROAS, correct? Hand on heart, if your boss is going to give you a budget, you got to show some revenue out of it. So irrespective, and without revealing too much details in terms of whatever confidential numbers you have, let's say hypothetically CTV is 1% of your total media budget today. TV would be a much larger number, digital would be equally larger number. How much of that 1% is giving back to you in terms of revenue contribution? I mean, to his answer, he said today if CTV was not there, maybe it will not make a significant difference, but since you're using it and you're probably the first mass brand that I've heard in a very long time who's saying that it is making a significant dent to you. So let me say, if you're spending a 1% of your media investment on CTV, is it giving you 1% back to your sales or is it unidentifiable?
No, I mean, at Godrej, we believe that whatever media we're running, whether it's not necessarily connected TV, it could be Meta, it could be anything, it has to attribute back to either brand growth or immediate business sales. So when we were running television, we had a baseline of what our mind measures were and what our revenue was. And when we started adding connected TV, we could see immediately the shift in terms of mind measures. And one of the things that we do is we look at branded search. And we saw that in markets where connected TV was being activated, that search, absolute searches started going up. But of course, that was not enough, right? If you don't see sales, you're not going to do it. So we saw immediate sales lift as well. We have an interesting example. We have a air freshener for cars called Aero. It's a hanging freshener. And the challenge we had is how do we identify urban car owners? And then we discovered that there's a very high overlap between car owners and connected TV. So we started off with a few state markets, and we saw immediate lift in sales, and we realized this is actually proving the theory. And now that's become an always-on saying through the year, no matter what we're doing, at least for this car hanging format, we need connected TV. We've seen how business responds. We've seen when we switch it off also what happens as well. So,
can you tell us more about the platforms you use?
Yeah, I mean, largely it's YouTube because they've got the largest reach in terms of connected TV, but behind them you've got Jio Hotstar, you've got Samsung. We've worked together on campaigns as well. You're seeing a lot of inventory open up with the OEMs. So Samsung being one, LG being another. So yeah, there's a lot of inventory, and for us, I think the task now is that with CTV exploding, how are we making sure we're across these various CTV partners? How are we getting measurement right? Because everyone's operating on a different tech stack. So how do you make sense of that one number? And of course, pricing, because that's still, while you get more users coming into the platform, pricing is still something that's still kind of sorting itself out on connected TV.
Pricing. But anyway, I got Nivika from my ex-team. She's got the RO ready for Samsung. So since you might, but coming to you, Rohan, he talked about measurement, which is an interesting topic. And I think as we are progressing over the next few minutes, I want to bring back to the question of how can we accelerate it. It seemed like Godrej to some degree has or is getting a hang of measuring the impact of running CTV campaigns, and they have seen success with a particular car air freshener. How do you, and you also know at an agency person that at no given point in time it's only one channel that you're running. So when you hear a story from him like that, and a success story which resonates with all of us, how do you, in your experience, are able to isolate to some degree? And we know we can never do 100% isolation of stuff, because that, I'm sure you're not just doing CTV, you're doing quick commerce, you're doing other commerce advertising, etc. How, in your experience, this whole measurement conversation is evolving? And to what degree, if somebody, let's say a couple of other brands who are sitting here today, comes to you and say, I want to run a CTV campaign, help them get to that point where that dollar gets them $1 or $2 back?
Yes, I think the reality is that there is expectation on performance from literally every channel that we pick today. That reality continues for anyone at the brand, because you have KPIs, agency because we are custodians of the brands and trying to run campaigns for them. Now, if I were to answer your question very specifically, possibility of isolation, very difficult. I believe that we are an audience which is in a very evolved multi-touch point experience zone, where if you don't see a brand in 2 or 3 touch points, registering on a single platform becomes extremely difficult. However, as an agency, we have been very confident of the potential of CTV. In fact, we worked with you and the MIQ guys here and did the first ever brand lift study on connected TV. The measure or outcome there for us was, how does the brand lift does? And it was a very healthy double digit as compared to campaigns executed elsewhere where we perhaps saw a single digit. But I think, looking at the recent example of car fresheners, I think for every category, the role of CTV will be different. I think 35 to 50 million is the sweet spot of connected TV audience in India. And I think by 2027, there is going to be a 5x growth in terms of the ad spends that, brands or, agencies for the brands were doing. We are now looking at an ecosystem where CTV is not just 1% or much high. I would not name the brand, but the entire strategy during the summer was, during IPL, we took 100% CTV sponsorship. We believe that, I think, there is an affluent audience. Obviously, there has to be a fitment or connect with the brand. We have been experimenting that with audio. We did it with you. We are doing it with even commercial vehicles that we manage. We are doing it for consumer goods. I think CTV audience or cohorts, I think that's one of the things, right? When we used to do traditional TV, it was very specifically understanding the channel, what is the demographic behind the channel, and then which show needs to be taken, then what is the TVR, and how is the last, trend been in the last 4 weeks. I think now we have moved to a last, 1 moving week to 4 moving week average. But when it comes to digital, everything was measurable. So power of large format, measurability of digital is what CTV brought to them. But then, while, the measurability is there in terms of impression, reach, whether outcomes like performance, not directly attributable. You can scan a QR code, you would engage with the product, but not buy it immediately. As against an ad running on Amazon, you would click, end up buying also. So, the last click, the conversation continues. Like CTV, don't measure it on the last click. It is an important element to the entire planning mix. So there is expectation on performance on CTV for us. We do see uplift, but again, we do TV, print, digital, radio, outdoor, all put together. And irrespective of the kind of media mix modeling you would do, it will give you a direction in terms of what media is doing very well. But the scale is still a 35 to 50 million. Even if you have a multiplication factor of 4, about 120 million, roughly eyeballs to cater to, as against even mobile devices, which are close to 750 million. So I believe, and even linear TV is 750 million. So the scale is still what is needed. And I think as the scale goes up, and what I was reading because I was coming here, that the shipment data for the entry-level smartphones is increased 40% in the year. But the problem is people are taking smartphones, but then the second question is, do I really subscribe to this OTT channel? And I don't think even fast is advertised as well. I don't think a lot of people understand fast nor are consuming that. Now, if all these education gaps were to be bridged, I think we are looking at an ecosystem which will grow faster. And there is expectation from performance on every single impression, audio clip, anything that you put in, which the brands naturally need, because I think that is where we change the narrative. When programmatic came into the picture, we said, we'll give you very low cost, effective inventory. Then we said that, low cost, better quality inventory. Then we came and said everything is performance. Then we are saying the last click, view through, everything works. And now even on connected TV, we are expecting see, click, scan that QR code, try that VR, take that VR experience, go and buy the product. Difficult. But I think that is playing a role in the whole journey. And I quote this always, even if you take 10 touch points, there is 3.6 million unique paths to purchase. That CTV has played a role. Now don't ask me for who, where, when, but I think it creates an impact for sure. I mean, that large format experience.
Anybody in the audience wants to counter what Rohan just said from your experience? I got scared listening to his answer, like I don't want to do CTV because I don't know what's going to happen.
Actually, I have a question.
Go ahead.
What he mentioned, how many people have actually scanned the QR code on connected TV? Like, that's the question I keep asking. Oh, okay, quite a few.
There's some enthusiasts in this room. Let me scan and see.
Is it because we're marketing professionals that we're hitting the scan?
Could be. It could be.
So there's a bias to it.
I think that's a very honest confession, Rohan. I think there is now no set path to discovery and to purchase. What we grew up with, कि आप print में ad चलाओगे, फिर print में ad चलेगी, फिर आपको search term पे search करेंगे, फिर आपकी website पे आएंगे, फिर वो convert होएगा, convert नहीं करा आप उसको remarket करोगे. I think that journey is no longer valid there. Last 6 minutes, let's talk about acceleration. Other than pricing, चीजें सस्ते नहीं हो रही है. I can tell you that. Everything is going up. That aloo parantha at the airport, Delhi airport, I was telling you guys, was 200 rupees 3 months ago. It's now 500 bucks. So inventory is not going to get cheap. So let's keep that out of the equation. What will help you, let's say if you spend 100 rupees today, and you can give an answer based on some choices I'm giving you. Do you see in the next 6 months to 12 months that 100 rupees becoming 200 rupees of spend? And if yes, what will potentially help you drive that? Or you say, no, 100 might become 125 because I am a more measured practitioner and we have certain theories. Or I can give you a worst case scenario, that 100 becomes 80 because suddenly so many players are there, there's price war. I've got a few friends from companies who are coming out with amazing content, dropping rates like left, right, and center. You go like for 80 bucks, now I get value for 120 bucks. Which way you want to go? And how do you fundamentally, after listening to what you heard from Rohan, instill some level of confidence that if any of those brands sitting in this room today says, if I have to spend on CTV as a starter, what should I start? So 2 questions. What will help you accelerate the spending? What are the drivers? And if somebody is starting today, what should be the bare minimum threshold that they should consider as a starting point?
Yeah, I think
then Rohan can fill the gap.
Luckily for us, 100 will not become 80. It'll probably become 120. Just to give you an example, 3 years ago, Godrej Consumer was only advertising 2 or 3 main brands in the year, like a Goodnight, a Synthol. Then the philosophy changed, saying that for us to really grow, we need to invest behind brands and invest consistently, right? And we've seen how other brands like HOL do this, right? So that's been our philosophy. Why we've been able to kind of take up spends on connected TV is, agree with Rohan's point, it's a large screen. We buy non-skip, right? So you're delivering that impression, you're able to deliver a certain frequency. And we've seen, I think what's helping with acceleration is, this is probably where it's accelerating faster than what measurement can pick up, is measurement hasn't figured out yet how many TV households are dropping off. Everyone knows that people are cutting the cord. So you will have to design your own experiments depending on the market, depending on the consumer you need to reach, and see actually how much you're able to deliver within connected TV, which again is incremental to television, depending on what your objective is. So you'd have to test. I think the one thing that I would add for testing is where a lot of people may lack is a discipline, that you keep a test on for 2-3 months, because building a mind measure will take time. Seeing the sales reflect will take time. It can't be knee-jerk reaction. So I would say test, have a very clear set of metrics that you want to go after, and then you have to hold that discipline. So earmark that 10% of budget, saying this is what I'm going to do. There's going to be a lot of chatter saying we're not seeing this. The sales guy is calling from a particular market and saying I'm not seeing movement. Put it back on TV. But hold the test, then take a call. Sometimes it will work, sometimes it won't. As long as you know who your consumer is and what mediums they're using, you'll deliver. I think one big unlock is that with inventory opening up across partners, the one thing we're struggling with is how do I get one single view of the consumer? On television, I have that with linear. Connected is a challenge. And I think people are trying to solve it, but whoever's able to solve it first, that becomes a huge unlock, and the money will flow, because we know more and more people are connecting, but you need measurement as well to follow.
What should be your minimum starting budget for your 2 months test?
That's totally on the number of consumers you need to. The way we budget is what's the ambition for the brand? How much do I need to grow penetration by? And therefore, what is the ideal media mix? And we look at media mix at a market level, because the media mix in West Bengal is going to be very different from Maharashtra. Linear television is a lot cheaper to buy in South, so you can afford to saturate that first, then add connected TV. So the market dynamics is very different. So you have to, the more you're able to de-average for geography, affluence, age, that answer will keep changing.
Accelerate कैसे होगा? इतनी तूने targeting लगा दी. Rohan, anything from your side?
On acceleration, I think we'll have to wait and watch, because I think the data from, like I mentioned, shipment or low cost of data, the subscription cost of OTTs, everything is going down. Entry level, smartphones are also much cheaper than what they were 5 years back. And if I think fast adoption increases, I think it works well. But I think looking at the numbers that are quoted with 5x growth, I think we will be looking at a market. We already are investing a lot on CTV, but I think the market will take the share away from linear, more towards CTV. And I believe even the partner ecosystem that we have are a lot of people who have moved from TV to now advocating CTV inventory.
Yeah.
So I think that is a positive momentum. There could be a question that people will think, where does CTV sit? Does it sit with the expertise of TV, or does it sit with the expertise of digital? I think it's a unique expertise, because I think it requires the planning with the measurement framework coming in, how you select, because a CTV connection at home could be maybe connected to my ID, but watched by the entire family. So one of the CMOs asked me, how is it relevant when it's your profile that's logged into CTV, but you would want to perhaps put an ad for product X or Y or Z. I'm not naming products here. So then how does that work? So I think with measurement coming in, that is important. With better planning frameworks, that is again a driver. But I think everyone sitting in the room, whether you're a brand, agency, even OEM, that the numbers are growing. And once the numbers grow, everything is now connected on programmatic, unified frequency doing its job, right tech tools there, marketing automation playing a role. I think people will move away from that 1% that you started off by calling whatever the share is for brands. But I think a good healthy 20% is where it should move towards.
I would agree with Rohan. The partner ecosystem has a role to play here. Both media houses and agencies, because like you said, in television, there's so much of nuance in terms of the TV, the shows, the rating, etc. There's probably a lot of data also sitting with OTTs, OEMs, but maybe they're not doing as good a job of evangelizing it. Selfishly, though, I would want to get a disproportionate share of CTV, so so it's a flip for me.
Okay. Now, I think let me sum it up. We're pretty much out of time. Any question that you guys want to ask these two gentlemen before I close the conversation? So you know what we discussed over the last 25 minutes.
Or to Prab.
Or to me.
Because you've been pushing the CTV narrative for a very long time, and I think equally, I think good response from you should be there. But if anyone has a question.
You can ask any question. Is a
Everyone's
good
waiting
question.
patiently for this conversation to end, I feel.
Oh, it's the dessert after sugar rush kicking in now. Okay, let me wrap it up for you. Very simple. I think it's a bit of an unknown today because Aaron specifically talked about a very unique category where he saw success. We've seen a lot of challenging areas as well. If you're starting new, you need to understand that this platform is not at a critical mass level, which is what Rohan kind of echoed, and measurement is a bit of a hit or miss depending on which platform do you advertise on. Specifically, if you advertise on Google platforms, those measurements are slightly more evolved. But if you work with anything which is non-Google, I think those guys have a lot to catch up on. In essence, outside of a rate conversation, which I think is a moot point in a market like India, it's a platform which definitely helps you discover audiences which otherwise, in the fragmented world that we're living in, your message might get lost. And in my experience, having an ad on a large screen does play a very critical role in creating, to some degree, brand recall and brand preference, which a lot of time digital practitioners do not know about that. So we are still at the beginning of the CTV journey, and if you guys have not started, these two gentlemen are around to help you, give you the first tips. But I think acceleration is still about a year ago, so maybe in season 3 of CTV Symposium, we bring back the topic, Rahul. Please take note. Thank you very much. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, audience, for your time.
Thank you to all the speakers for that candid and insightful discussion. I would request all of you to please remain on stage. Thank you, everyone.